Good morning. How's everybody this morning?
Good.
Good.
Great.
That's the way it ought to be. Well, I have a little funny for you. Some of you may have heard this before, but I like it. Burglar broke into a home and was looking around, and all of a sudden he heard a voice that said, "Jesus is watching." And he says, "Who is that?" "It's me." He looked, and there was a parrot. He says, "Parrot." He says, "Well, who are you?" Parrot says, "I'm Moses." He says, "What kind of a dumb name is that? What people would give a parrot the name of Moses?" He says, "The same people who give a 250-pound Rottweiler the name of Jesus." Laughter. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Love laughter. Well, this first month of the new year, we are studying the basics, and I always like the basics. One time in my church, I gave an exceptionally good lecture, and they were all good, but exceptionally good. And somebody came up and said, "I just feel like I've taken Science of Mind 101. I said, "Wonderful, wonderful." You can never stray too far away from the basic principle. If you're close to principle, if you're using principle, living from principle, then all is well. But there are things, what we're talking about today is your part of the equation. Last week we got the big deal, the overall, the whatever you want to call it. It's beyond description. That's why we have such a hard time giving it a label. Even the Hebrews said they were the people of the God with no name. Because as soon as you name something, you begin to limit it, and you cannot limit that creative power that is you and I and flowing throughout all the universe, creating our lives. And our part. As for me, I was fortunate, I guess, growing up, I didn't blame people for things that were happening. If things happened that I didn't like, I asked, what did I have to do with this? And I think that's a good question for you to ask because, as it was clearly stated, what I'm thinking today, I'll be experiencing tomorrow. And so I want to be very careful with my thoughts of today. However, we have many, many, many thoughts and many, many, many beliefs. Most of us have a broad foundation of beliefs that we got from our parents. Look at Oprah Winfrey. Her grandmother tried to tell her, "Hey, find good white folks." She couldn't settle for that, but many people do settle. So what we need to do is to question. That's the best thing that I know. You and I have the power to create whatever we desire. But it's up to us to send out the correct energy, to have the right attitude. So often I have counseled people and had people in for treatment and, they're just so agreeable. Yes, I have to think, well, I have to give up this, that, and the other thing. And I'll shake their hand and go, and they'll be right back in their pattern as they walk out the door. It's not easy because of all the pressures that we have. To remain positive in our political situation is difficult. Difficult, but well worth the price of getting your mind centered. I try never to allow anybody or anything to influence my thought beyond my own control. I have the power, and that's where that thought power comes from. And what that thought power is doing is establishing a firm belief. One of the books I read when I was on my way up and almost had a nervous breakdown was Peel's Power of Positive Thinking. It's still relevant today, very simple. And I launched from that at that time, I held the book and I was reading the book. When I put the book down, I was a crazy mess. But I was young, so that was good. I had my breakdown then and went on from there. The other book I read and loved so much was The Magic of Believing. Because that's what it is. Your thoughts are creative, but they create from belief. What are you believing? And we're structured with the conscious mind and the subconscious. And our beliefs, the things that we have accepted as so, right or wrong, are there in that subconscious. So it behooves us to take out and look at all of our beliefs. What do I believe? What do I really believe about money? Because when we know what we really believe, then we can either continue it on or we can change it. What power we have. You know, they say we only use it for a small percentage of our brain in thinking. Well, we use a very small percentage of our power in living. We're not victims, we are victors, but it depends on what goes on in our head. One of the reasons I think that New Thought is still a very small movement is because you're required to take responsibility. You know, it's really nice to be Orthodox Christian and have the devil to blame. Notice that? We don't have a devil. In fact, I once had a friend, I think she was madder at me for not having the devil than for what my belief was about God. Blasphemy, all those terrible things. But whatever works for you is the important thing. I've been working on my beliefs for a long time, and sometimes I have to stand firm in the face of a lot of information that would say contrary to what I've been thinking. But I don't want to experience what I know will come from that thought. And I can't stress enough that you must have awareness. Awareness on what's happening. There's a lot of violence in our society. But what do we see on TV? What do we see other places? Shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up. I was watching something and I looked at it. I said, they probably killed 50 people in that length of that movie. What happens if you watch all that stuff, you become immune, and you can't. You must have the highest thought. What is it? Why did this happen? So what we need to know is they say, I'm me. Well, what is that? What is my belief? Why have certain things happen to me? Why do certain things happen to other people? It's like Buzz. He never thought about anything except being healthy, so that's where he's going to stay. He can look someone else's illness right in the face and deny it. We have that power, and it's in our thinking power. And when I come and sit before you and speak to you, my thought is to give you something of value, something you can use. Remember, it is done unto you as you believe. Doesn't say as the government thinks or as your parents think, or anything, as you believe. And be careful what you want to experience. I know that I had a brother who was crippled, severely so, couldn't even feed himself or get out of a chair or anything. I mean, really dependent on everybody else. And as I grew up with him, I wondered what that was like. Well, I should have not done that because a few years ago I had an operation on my leg and it had a problem, and I ended up having to be in a wheelchair for 6 weeks, hardest 6 weeks of my life. And that when I was evaluating what happened to it, there it was, my wanting to know what it was like, and so I did. And I think that this infinite power allows all of this stuff to happen for our own good. I'm thoroughly convinced that everything is created for my benefit. It's just that I'm sometimes not smart enough to recognize that it is a benefit. And I think this is true for the world. We are all using our energy through our thoughts. What you think about comes about. Sometimes we have to look at what is going on in our life. So often people say, to me, why did this happen to me? Why am I, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. It's an outcome. Remember, we don't just have one thought. We have many, many things. We have our opinions and ideas and beliefs on everything in existence. Most of us are very willing to share that too. What are you thinking? What are you thinking right here in this moment? Every once in a while throughout the day, it's nice to stop and say, what am I thinking? Because we think so fast and we have so many things clamoring for our attention. But this is a powerful tool, that belief. Continue to believe above all odds. Look at Oprah Winfrey, somebody with that beginning to go through everything that she's gone through and to come out with millions and billions and everybody hanging on her every word and all those things. Isn't that fabulous? And if she can do it, we can do it. Anything that anybody is doing or can do, we can do it. And look at all the wonders that we have. All the automation, all the communication. My goodness, the internet is fabulous. And you know, working the internet is very much like our life and our beliefs and our personal. We get into a lot of trouble when we stray away from what we know is what we should be doing, what we should be thinking. But that internet, you know, it's impartial. It doesn't care who uses it. It doesn't care whether they are going for good or they're going for bad, all that kind of thing. And we have access to that power and more in the creative energy of the universe. You want to call it God, whatever. But more than a word, it's a feeling. You can feel when you're really inspired, can't you? Right now, in this moment, find a thought within you that inspires you. Everybody got one? Good. Give a lot of energy to that thought. I've had wonderful things happen in my life. I've seen wonderful things happen in other people's lives. I don't think I had any tragedies because everything that has happened has had purpose. Sometimes you have to wait a while after the thoughts to see them manifest. And if I want something that doesn't come on my timetable, well, then I'm not ready for it. I remember wanting a position in our activities club, and I had all these ideas I wanted to get in there, and I ran for president, and I lost. Well, I'll go do something else. It must not be fun anyway. The following year, they wanted me to run for president again, and I reluctantly said yes, and then I thought, I don't really want to do that. So I tried to resign. I was the only one running. I had to take it. And I went through it. I did a great job. We had wonderful activities for our employees that year. But as I was going through that and making things happen, I discovered that by having that year without it, when I was so excited, when I actually got to do it, I was calmer. I didn't have to expend as much energy. I'd already done all the work on all the programs I wanted to have and everything. So it was a breeze. It was wonderful. It was a fabulous experience. So one of our things we have is time. I want my healing, and I want it right now. And so we have to take every moment and savor it, whatever is going on. Even if it's a pain, at least we know we're alive. And we know that there is a power greater than I am that can do everything. And to know that I don't have to have the world healed before I can get my healing. We do it on an individual basis. Thought to thought. Thought to thought. So if you leave here today with only one thing, leave here with that ringing in your ears. It is done unto me as I believe. Because you're in charge of what you believe. Sometimes it's kind of shocking to find out that you've been believing this thing all for years and years, and it ain't so. Not true. It's like the little old lady had wonderful success in healing. And somebody says, well, what do you do? How do you know that? She says, well, when they tell me about the problems, I just say, "'Tain't so. 'Tain't so." And there's so many things that we're believing and it ain't so. Make your thought as pure as you can. When you're analyzing yourself, go to that third person. You know, that you can easily find that you have the thinking, feeling, being, and you have the analysis that you do, and behind all of that is this infinite quality that is taking everything and putting it together and creating. Has myriads of ways of creating what you want, how you want it. Look how miraculous it was when we decided to redo this sanctuary. Everything just fell in place. When we bought a church building for the church that I had, it felt like that I had ridden up on the crest of the wave, and I just followed it right through. Everything unfolded, the money, the permits, everything that was necessary, and it was almost like just walking through a dream. Why shouldn't we have life where we walk through the dream? Where we just find love. I know there's women that are so great, Dolly Parton and Oprah, and I forgot the other one, but there were three of them there talking around, and they all says, it's great to be rich. Wouldn't have it any other way. Why aren't we all rich? Because we're not all believing. And those kinds of things going on in our lives, sometimes we don't even think to pull out that belief and question it, to look at it. Not why aren't I rich, but what is it in my consciousness that keeps me at this level when I want to be over there? I mean, I made peace with myself when I was doing treatment for abundance and all that, and I thought, I want millions and millions, and it turned out I really didn't. Because I looked at people that had them, and there was a lot of work involved, a lot of importance, a lot of things that I really wouldn't want to have. So I changed it from just more than enough, that's all I need. I can do anything. We tend to limit ourselves when we are limitless. Thought power is limitless. And so right here, this day, in this sanctuary, I declare through the power of my thought that each of you will experience in 2020 a wonderful new surprise in your life. Something that's been gelling there for a long time is going to appear and make this the best year you've ever had. How do you feel after I said those things to you? Okay. So those are the things you have to say to yourself over and over and over. I'm living the best life. I'm blessed. My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. Yeah. Have those driving us, those thoughts. And as you have an intensity of conviction on your thoughts, turning that thought to a belief, life begins unfolding in ways you couldn't imagine. We always have fun. Remember, Pam, we went to Utah and it was fun. And for me, that's what life is all about. That every moment should be fun, no matter what you're doing. Because nothing is isolated. I think our mistake is we take an incident and expand it out. It's just an incident, and everything can be pivotal. Today you can turn around and go right in the opposite direction with whatever's going on in your life. Every lives. You have all the freedom in the world to think whatever thoughts you want. And there are lots and lots of books that will tell you what equates to what if you have this illness or that lack or that limitation. But I say, just look at yourself, spend some time and bring out your beliefs and say, is this true? And why do I believe this? Some people, I've worked with people, well, I can't be any different, I was raised that way. Phooey. You can change circumstances at any moment through the power of thought. If you need that change in an instant, it's there. I know that when I was in a car accident and rolled a car down the road 3 times over and over, I couldn't wait for the end. I couldn't wait for a success. I was rolling over there and saying, God help me. And God helped me through getting out of the wreck, going on, getting a new car. I mean, you can't take just a little piece and say that's it, because one thing leads to the other, leads to the other. And everything just is, neither good nor bad. If you want to put those labels on them, you can. But sometimes those things that you've labeled as bad, when you go on a little further in your life, you find out that was really good. So I guess the best message I have for you this morning is know what you believe, because it's done unto you as you believe. And this is all powered by thought. So let's say that one magical one I like again. My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what.